In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Those of you who have been with us in previous Good Friday services will no doubt notice that we have performed the service in a somewhat abbreviated fashion, owing to a relative lack of personnel and other reasons, and I think that we were probably well advised to do so, but I promise you that if I am still here to help with it, a year from now we will have the biggest Good Friday party that we ever had. Since we started our Good Friday services back in, let me see, it would have been in the late 1960s, and since that time I have performed them every year except last year. So it's a promise. If I should be here in the spirit form, I will still pour the champagne, which in itself should be a remarkable psychic phenomenon that can go into the annals of psychical research and matters of that sort. So please keep that in mind. We are just regathering after the year of great difficulties, and I'm very happy that you were able to come this evening, and that you have witnessed the Good Friday service, even though in a slightly changed form, because I think that its nature and its message have always been of great benefit, and they still are. It is the privilege, or perhaps the curse, I don't know which, of old people to reminisce. And so that's what I'm doing. I was thinking over when we started the Good Friday service, more or less in its present format, and it was, I'm almost certain, in 1965. And since then we have performed it no matter which location we found ourselves at the time every year, except in the disastrous year, the annus horribilis of 2020, a year ago. And we dearly hope that from now on it will be a climb up the mountain rather than a painful stumbling about, as has been the case in so many respects last year. So why do we particularly commemorate, and in this case by having rescued some very ancient scriptures and very ancient rites? For everything that you have heard here today, with the exception of the narration, comes to us from authentic ancient sources. And it, as I reminisce again, my late friend and auxiliary Bishop Forrest Barber and I worked on it for weeks and months to put this service together until we felt that it was truly authentic and truly helpful. And so why do we do this? Well, we do it primarily because it is our feeling. This is more of a feeling than a declarative statement that the Easter story, which is of course contained in all the four Gospels in its own fashion and in various traditions, that the Easter story is a narrative, is a mythic story of profound and manifold meanings. Meaning is a very mysterious word, and yet is extremely powerful, because by it we understand, of course, not a kind of grade school mathematical this equals that, but rather we know that we are being presented with symbols, which, as has been correctly pointed out by the great Dr. Jung, the great Gnostic of the 20th century, and others, is a very important issue, and has to do really with unlocking the lock of the mystery. The symbol is the key which opens the door to the mystery. And what, let's say, the mysterious mystical space into which we enter after having unlocked that door is complex, is manifold, because it contains a multitude of meanings, not only one, but many. And all of these meanings in turn are connected with each other. They have there is a common thread. There is a golden chain, somewhat like the aurea catena of the alchemists, that joins them together. And that chain is the mystery. And it's not, as we obviously all know, it's almost redundant to say so, we are not dealing here with I don't know, the kind of, as much as I like them personally, a mystery like Sherlock Holmes or other writers of mystery stories, but it is that which is hidden and yet revealed. It is that which comes forth from a vast, transcendental reservoir of wisdom, of understanding, of meaning, and which therefore has a very important transforming effect on us. It is the kind of meaning that transforms, not just informs. Earthly, material, mundane kind of meanings may inform, although, let's say, the way, I don't know, the means of publicity in our culture have devolved, I would say that it perhaps misinforms about as often or more often than informs. But informing is one issue, transforming is another. And the transforming occurs by that kind of penetrating into the essence, beyond appearances, beyond outer things, and even beyond words, and which therefore brings to us an opening of understanding, an opening of mind. And last year, we didn't have any Easter. Easter was there, but we were not able to celebrate it. But I think the year before, or the 2 years before or so, I went in some detail through the various ways in which we can approach in a more profound fashion this mystery, and there is no need therefore to repeat it at this time. But I will try to indicate how the coming of the mystery and its revelation to us functions when we contemplate one particular episode. The late Gerald Heard, whom you hardly ever hear about nowadays, but whom I believe was one of the wisest people whom I encountered in this long life of mine, and who was the second person to lecture in this hall after the Theosophical Society purchased and fixed up the building, which must have been sort of around 1955 or so. And one of Mr. Gerald Heard's statement about the story of Jesus was that it was a mystery play. In fact, there was a very remarkable book published in the, I would say it was probably published in the 50s or very early 60s, that was called The Palestinian Mystery Play. And this was written by a youngish scholar, was a friend and disciple of Gerald Heard, and Gerald Heard wrote the introduction to it and in various ways recommended the book. And Gerald Heard was of the view that just like the ancient dramas, well, as far as we know, probably starting with the Greeks, but who knows others, the mystery play is there for the purpose of, as one might imagine, of revealing the mystery. That by way of contemplating the various features of the mystery play, we are led into the mystery ourselves, and ultimately the mystery occurs within us. This is not so difficult to contemplate because in a much smaller and sort of mundane way, it happens every time we watch a play on the stage, or maybe even some of the motion pictures which for so long and often so efficiently have been produced here in our Hollywood. Whenever there is a real drama taking place, a real good story, and really well expressed in good language and well acted, it opens up doors inside of us, one after the other. There is more and more understanding, and understanding at various levels, as it must be. So the grand mystery play of the Christian tradition is the life and then the suffering and death of Jesus Christ, the Logos. And in it we find the various stages of the mystery which pertain undoubtedly to a great story. I am not, I have never joined the ranks of the sort of mostly 19th century scholars who were very eager to prove to their own satisfaction, even if not to the satisfaction of many others, that the story of Jesus never happened. Because that is not the issue. Let's say a physical story, a physical event shows something beyond it. Even as it was always understood in the ancient world by the Greeks, by the Egyptians, by the Romans, and the Persians, many others, that there are layers and layers of meaning in a really good story. And if we only apprehend to some extent one or two of those meanings, it's not the fault of the story, it's our fault that we don't understand. So there is an outer form, there is an outer shell, which is the story and sometimes the historical events. But these are somewhat, since we are at Easter, and for a long time the Easter egg has been a very important symbol, which goes clear back in all likelihood to the New Testament, wherein on the Easter morning, according to tradition, this is not obviously documented in the Bible itself, but Mary Magdalene, who is the first witness to the resurrection, comes back excitedly and triumphantly to the city. She's trying to convey to the people, particularly those who are her fellows in following Christ, that Christ has risen. But since it's kind of a difficult political climate, they had difficult political climates even then, as we do now, she doesn't feel like pronouncing that in a verbal and rational manner. But instead of that, she takes from her clothing or from her luggage, she takes an egg. And she goes around the city holding up the egg to people. And no doubt, owing to some conversations that they may have had before, this becomes to them a symbol of the resurrection. Look, it looks dead. Nothing, you don't hear anything, you don't see anything, and yet, when the shell breaks, if things go well, out comes the little bird, out comes the chick. So the egg is the sepulcher, but out of it rises, sometimes the phoenix, the bird that rises out of its own ashes might be seen in that fashion, but here also the one whom they thought they killed, but who then resurrects. So there is the mystery, which cannot be and should not be explained, but which, by way of the symbol, the people who look at the egg recognize that this is the tomb, out of which, like a bird, or like in this case a small bird, rises the one whom death could not contain. Very interesting outer aspect of the situation. But let us say, obviously, if we were to try to demonstrate one after the other, step by step, the various layers of meaning that exist in the mysteries play, this one as well as others, well, it would take too much time. But it's very important to remember that these layers of meaning are deeper and deeper. Just like in so many other respects in our lives. Most everything that we encounter in this world where we live has, of course, a physical appearance. But that is only the outermost layer of the reality. And if our consciousness is properly engaged, from the physical it proceeds further inwards. Probably it would first proceed to a feeling. All right, here is something. What does it feel like? And if you are able to read your feelings at that time, now another level of meaning arises. And then to it is added the, at least the attempted understanding of the rational mind. So I know what it looks like, maybe I even know what it is like when I touch it, and now I know what it feels like. Yet, what kind of intellectual meaning can I attach to it? What does it reveal to me in terms of thought? And here is another layer and level of meaning which becomes quite revelatory. But it is very important to keep in mind that that is not enough either. And if we look deeper, then on other level of meaning, which probably modern psychology would call intuitive, the fourth function, and it could be called by various other names, but it's a deeper approach. We come closer and closer to the mystery. And that is not all either, because beyond that, then some greater steps are taken, and then we penetrate now really the core of the mystery. We are beyond the senses, we are beyond the emotions, we are beyond the intuitive understanding, we are beyond the intellectual approach, and there is something else. And that other now comes very close to the heart of the matter. It has been called spirit, and it also has been envisioned by the Greeks particularly, who were so adept at all of these matters, that there is a connecting link between the approaches that I just mentioned and the pneuma, spirit, or in Latin the spiritus. And when one walks on that narrow bridge, one enters the greater and perhaps the ultimate reality. Of course, very seldom do we have the good fortune to be able to go through all of these steps and have this much understanding. But when we are in the presence of people, all of their work, their writings and so forth, who had the good fortune and the grace to be able to have taken these various steps into the palace of meaning, then they can convey some of that to us. They can tell us, and they can even without words can bring to us the great and perhaps the ultimate meaning that is trying to reveal itself to us. And it all happens by way of the mystery play, with its various scenes, one after the other, deeper and deeper, greater and greater. And just with our ordinary approach and a good spiritual aspiration, we can always gain at least 2 or 3 or 4 levels of this meaning. I have come across, just really by looking for a prayer in the prayer book in the liturgy of a sister church, the Liberal Catholic Church. It's kind of difficult when you have a hat on your head that won't allow you to put your glasses on. You know, it requires, I think, some miraculous intervention. In any event, in the liturgy, the latest edition of the liturgy of the Liberal Catholic Church, in their Good Friday service, which is quite beautiful and revealing also, there is a hymn, a poem, There is no indication who wrote it, but although I have a suspicion, but suspicions are only suspicions. And I cannot think at the moment of the full name of the gentleman. You know, there was famous humorous and Victorian humorous writer who wrote all the stories with the wonderful butler. You know. P.G. Woodhouse. Yes, P.G. Woodhouse. Thank you. And P.G. Woodhouse had a brother. He perhaps had more than one. His name was J. Armin Woodhouse, who, interestingly enough, became a disciple and close friend of the liberal Catholic and Theosophical Bishop Leadbeater, and lived in the Leadbeater's residence in Sydney for many years, and who wrote a lot of nice religious poetry that came to be included in her liturgies. And I think that this feels to me as if it is by J. Armin Woodhouse, and I think it tells a particular, very important layer of meaning of the mystery play. From the throne of bliss supernal, from the holy land of light, pilgrim sons of God eternal move descending into night. Around them close the shades nocturnal, earth mists dim their failing sight. Not a very happy picture. Forth the long procession wending into toils and cares and woes, still descending, onward, outward, downward goes. Hath the weary way no ending? Must their quest in darkness close? Hearts are wounded, hearts are breaking, death is reigning far and wide. Yet their vision, straining, aching, hath no gleam of dawn descried. Now his great oblation making, God in man is crucified. Well, whoever wrote it, I think he knew something, and he knew how. So here is the crucifixion at the human level. We come, if we can use that term, from a condition of transcendence, transcending everything that we know here, from a condition of beatitude and understanding. And owing to the unfathomable divine transcendental will, from that condition we descend further and further into the difficulties of materiality, and there are crucified. A very important and very interesting approach to the mystery of the crucifixion. But of course, as we all know, or at least suspect, the sad disclosure, the unhappy recognition conveyed by the poet here is not the end, because the mystery play certainly contains Good Friday. It contains the suffering and contains the death of a mysterious spiritual being. But the day in the morning is not far off, where all that is undone, and where an angelic being is seated on the on the tomb and says to Mary Magdalene and the wind coming up, he is not here, he is risen. And then come all the great events and the great revelations which the risen one communicates to his disciples. You know, in the Gnostic scriptures, like in Pistis Sophia particularly, this is decades of instruction and of inspiration that the resurrected Christ gives to the community that is left behind. But of course, obviously, there you are dealing with a somewhat timeless realm. But let's say, yes, there is something in this world. It is everywhere. This is the mystery of the omnipresence. It's in the earth, it's in the air, it's in the plants, it's in the animals, everywhere. And what is it? It is the crucified light. Something that is transcendental, something that is free, something that is without confinement and without limitation, that yet has entered into a limited condition where it is now crucified. Yet. And this is a very important part, I think, really of the Gnostic and of the Gnostic Christian message. If you feel crucified, and I would say that quite a few of us felt that way over the last year and maybe still do. If you felt the crown of thorns on your head, if you felt the whips of the tormentors on your back, remember, that is not the end. That is not the end. All of that will cease. And when it seemed that the career of the spiritual being has come to an end, when it is laid into the sepulchre as within the mystery play would occur, well, very soon now, temporarily going into Holy Saturday from Good Friday, already something is happening and he will come forth. Now, there have always been those at that time, and there are probably a few now, who, let's say, have experienced that mystery even without going through the mystery play itself, and who have recognized that the principle of resurrection, the coming forth of that which appeared to be latent and dead, is there, and who have thus experienced it. But whichever the case may be, let us take today or this evening with us just that one of several messages of the mystery play, and that is that the living one, the embodiment of the divine energy, of the divine light, of the divine inspiration, it may seem dead, it may seem latent, it may seem no longer capable of manifesting to us, but that is not true. After every Good Friday, there comes and through the interim period, which is symbolized by Holy Saturday, there comes the resurrection. There comes the full manifestation of that incredible glory that was there all along, but was hidden. And so I think Many, many meanings may be derived from the Easter mystery, but the mystery of a principle, a reality, a life, not physical life, but a higher life, which has been there all along and which may have seemed gone, may have seemed dead, may have seemed to have become completely inert, comes back to life and does its great work and does its great accomplishment. It is not. It's not shameful. It's not something that one should be ashamed of. If now and then, when things get very difficult, as they have been, let's say, this past year, that one feels that he's dead. Everything is gone. The Master has gone, and the one whom we have placed our confidence in, the one whom we have trusted, of course, spiritually meaning, doesn't seem to be active anymore. But don't give in to that feeling. He's rising. He's coming out of the grave right now. And the death in the obtuseness of physical manifestation, that kind of death has no dominion over him, and he comes forth and he is more glorious than ever. I'll add to it just as another little light, a little bit. We used to have in our service a long gospel that was read from the Acts of John, wherein St. John the Apostle, the beloved disciple, can't stand what is going on at the crucifixion, and he basically runs away. And he goes up into the mountain where there is a cave where he used to go at other times, in better times, to pray and to meditate. And while he is there, Jesus appears to him and says in so many words, John, why are you so distressed? Why are you crying? What you see down there on Golgotha, that all that crucifixion and all of that, that is not real. He says, look at me. I am real. I am here. I am not dead. So this is even before the resurrection. And then his form grows to a tremendous size, and he becomes a living cross of light that spans the heavens and the earth and the east and west. And he says, this is the cross. And I am on it, and I am still with you, and you can trust me, and don't be concerned about the physical thing that is going on over there. I mean, these are, of course, some of the let's say, a translation into the vernacular of what we find in the Acts of John. And that is the way it is. We are present at very difficult and very painful and very sad things in life. Yet, if we look deeply and if we bring forth that trust which brings grace, if we remember that we have been told that indwelling light always resurrects, never dies, comes back, is in us and will not depart. Even if our bodies part from us at the end of our lives, that reality, that Christ within us is still there and will see to it that we come in closer and closer communion with it. So this is I tried this as a little demonstration of how these great and salvific meanings are all present, and they are all present in the Palestinian mystery play, and it is really a description of what happens to all the divine life, and particularly the one that is within us, how it may appear to be dead, how it may appear to suffer great indignities, but it always comes back. And the guardian spirits are there and tell us, He is risen, He is not here, He is not dead, He is not locked up in the difficulties of physical life. But in order for us to experience that, we have to have a feeling for it. And I think that the Easter season with its resurrection mystery does bring us that feeling. It brings to us a keynote of awakening, a keynote of resurrection, a leaving behind of the heavy weight of materiality and all that comes with it, which also includes epidemics and the fear associated with them and so forth. All the depression, all the difficulty that arises from time to time and sometimes lasts a long time as it has now, all of that is taken away, because the real will prevail. The real will rise. The real has never been dead. And if we are able to look at Easter in that sense, we invoke a resurrectional element. Let all that is good, let all that is hopeful, let all that is loving and kind and blessed awaken and come forth from the grave, even as the example, the great persona of the drama shows it to us in the scripture, but as it occurs and as it can occur and must occur and will occur actually within us. So let's take this Easter as the Easter of a real resurrection, of a real hope, of a real proof that may come to us, that truth and life and understanding and wisdom and meaning are not dead. They have risen and they are with us, and they will remain with us and we with them evermore. So may the mystery of that which hangs fixed heaven and earth descend upon us and remain with us always. Amen.